Good morning, gang. Happy Monday. I hope everyone is blessed. It's the 30th of June. This is your daily market outlook for Monday. I hope everyone's had a blessed weekend. Welcome back. I am Liam. I am your host of this YouTube channel, which is basically free analysis for anyone who is beginner to trading or someone who is obviously needing that extra mentorship, which is basically for free. So hopefully you guys who are new to this channel, do enjoy the kind of content that I put out on a daily basis. We go over major pairs, mainly where we're talking about what I think and what I'm looking for going into the day. So before we do get into anything, as always, I just want to make sure that you guys understand. One second. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that obviously the content on this channel is for educational purposes only and informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing shared in these videos should be considered financial or investment or trading advice. Trading and investing always involves risk, and you should always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. Any past performances also that I've discussed on here does not guarantee future results. You are responsible for your own financial decisions. So, with that being out of the way, let's get straight back into the charts and close that down. Okay, perfect. So you guys should be able to see my screen as of now. And as you guys can see, we're looking at Monday for the news. So currently looking at Monday, there's nothing really that we have to keep an eye on in regards to like red folder news. We've got no US dollar news, pretty much nothing all day. So again, I'm not expecting too much volatility into the markets today, just to be honest. I think we have, if correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that we have, is it Thursday or Friday? Is it NFP, I think? Yeah, NFP on Thursday. Usually they actually are on Fridays, but it's on Thursday this week. So I think everything's going to be a build up towards obviously NFP on Friday. So with that being said, let's jump straight into the charts to see what's going on. Going into the dollar, as always, let's see where we're currently, sat and where we're currently at. Let's start on a weekly as we usually do. As you guys will already know now, I've been calling out these lows here, 1, 2, 3, 4 lows to be taken out for quite some time, and we finally got that. We have quite a bit of imbalance below here, which you guys can see, which I think the market will attack. So I'm expecting, dollar from a weekly perspective to carry on downwards. As you guys know, we've got quite a clean structure on the weekly. If we just focus on, this for instance, you can see it had a lower high, lower low. Where did we come back into? Filling this imbalance here. Then we dropped. Then where did the market come back into? We pulled back up. We filled in this gap here, which was the imbalance. Then we had that drop. Same here. We come back up, fill that imbalance. Now we're having that drop. So looking at the weekly, we have this weekly imbalance, which means that we could see some sort of bullishness on the dollar as a minimum, and then potentially drop. So the weekly is looking pretty clean, pretty sweet to obviously identify. Now looking at the daily, what can we see? Well, looking at the daily, let me just find this out. You can see that the market obviously come up, created a lower high, come down, created a new lower low. So we do have, a clear daily range, which is from this lower high to this lower low. You can see in this leg we have quite a lot of imbalance. So with that being said, eventually we should rebalance this market. We should come up to rebalance it. When? I don't know. You don't know. No one really knows. That's why we've got to, put the technical side into the markets, but we should rebalance this eventually. So looking at the daily, you can see that if it was to come up, I'd like to see the deeper parts of this wick mitigated with this imbalance. But going to the 4-hour, what can we currently see? Well, what we can currently see from the 4-hour is this is my 4-hour lower high, and this here is my 4-hour lower low. Now, as you guys can pretty much see, we have been consolidating in this area for quite some time. We've been consolidating in this area now for quite some time. We've got 4 hour candles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, going into our 12th 4 hour candle. So a long, long time to be consolidating here. So eventually we should see a big move. It's either going to big move up or it's either going to be a big push down. As I always say, we have, the consolidation, we'll have manipulation, and then we'll have the continuation. So, but interesting to see what actually happens from this area. And if we was to, break above this, where could I want to see the market come into? Well, I'd want to see the market pull above and then at least as a minimum come into this 4 hour supply area and then see if we can get that leg. So that's from a 4 hour perspective, what I'd like to see. But again, we got to focus on what is going on currently as we speaking, which is on the 1 hour. So if we drop on the 1 hour, you guys should already know that I've been calling this supply area for some time. And as you guys can see, we came up once, we failed to go and create a new low. We came up twice. We took out the high as well as mitigating this supply and filling in this imbalance. And now we're slowly starting to get that movement away. So as we go into today, my first major thought is obviously from a 1 hour perspective, we are in a supply zone as we speak. We are in this, 1 hour supply zone as we speak. Could we move away from this? Yes, of course. Of course, we could move away. And if we do move away, of course, I think we'll come out and take, these lows that we have here. So that could be one potential for the dollar. But me personally, what I would like to see is I would like to see this imbalance up here get filled and potentially tap into this 1 hour supply here. So that would be my 1 hour supply that I would like to see. And also, if you notice, we've got, a little trend line of liquidity happening here. So, could we see if we fail to react from this supply, could we see a punch above, fill in this imbalance here, tap into this supply? This supply is where we took out the high here, took liquidity, and then that go and be the next leg to go and break this low and this low here. So that is my first thought with the dollar. That's what I want to see. Now, of course, going into Euro USD, we've been extremely clean with Euro USD. As you guys can see, we had multiple different entries here. We had a 1 to 3 here as well. This was a 1 to 10. We smashed out this high here, which was a 1 to 4. And then currently I had this, as you guys can see from this high, which was about a 1 to 4.7, but partials would have been taken or should have been taken around a 1 to 2, 1 to 3. So we did smash a 1 to 3 out on this area. And if you guys remember, in fact, let's get rid of this noise. If you guys remember, on Friday, we specifically talked about this 1 hour demand. This 1 hour demand area here, we talked about these lows, and we talked about the fact that we, could dip, fill in this imbalance, tap into this demand, and then see that movement away. And as you guys can see, that is what we had. That is what we had. So going into today, we're still in this range from this higher low to this higher high. So let me just mark that out. This is still my valid 1 hour range. We're still in that 1 hour range. So firstly, one second. Firstly, if we're looking for sells, or if I'm looking for shorts on this area to take out these highs, then what can I expect with Euro USD? But what I can expect is we're in the same scenario. I would like to see what's happened here, what's happened here, what's happened here, happen again. So what do I mean by what's happened here? Well, early inducement, fake out, come down, fill in the imbalance, take out the lows, tap into demand, and then go. Same here. Lows created, imbalance below that, demand area pretty clean. Come in, tap in, and then go again. And we have the same scenario here. There's two ways that we can look at this. What I'm waiting for, personally is this level of demand here. This be my 1 hour demand area. This being my 1 hour demand, this being potential liquidity. Now, does that mean that that's going to happen? No, because as we've just talked about on the dollar, we are reacting currently from this supply, which means if you look at your USD, where are we currently reacting from? Well, we're reacting from this level of demand as we speak. Am I interested in this demand? I am not currently. As I said, I'm interested in this level below here. So what I'm expecting on or what I'm, hoping happens is we again dip, take out these lows, take out the early buyers, the inducement, tap in, fill in this imbalance, and then we go and create that new higher high. That is what I am currently looking to do. And that would align with the same if the dollar can reach into this area or at least reach into these imbalances here. So pretty easy to understand. That is my favorite that I'm probably looking at going into this week, if I'm being honest. So that is your USD. Now, GBP USD, what is going on as we speak? So as we, obviously know, GBP USD, we've got a new range from this daily higher low to this daily higher high. We've got quite a lot of imbalance to refill. So of course, eventually we would like to see this rebalance. We 100% would like to see rebalance. Now going into the four, you can see that this will be my 4 hour higher low. This will be my 4 hour higher high. So, I'm expecting, the market to come in below. Eventually, if we are bearish on this, of course, we're not going to get that bearishness on GU. But what can we expect looking from a four? So if you look at this area, we're very consolidated. There's not much to see on the four because you look at this and think this could be a potential selling opportunity, which, it could be that scenario. But if he was to look for buyers in this 4 hour range, I would be looking for longs from this area here, filling this imbalance that we have left, and then come into this demand. Going into the 1 hour, what can we see? So we had a movement away from here, which was perfect. We then have obviously come lower. Where have we come into? We've come into this demand area here, which we failed to mitigate. This candle here didn't tap into this 1 hour and fill in this imbalance. Because if you look here, you can see that we also left a tiniest bit of imbalance. The tiniest bit of imbalance, if we can actually just figure this out. 1 second. Tiniest bit of imbalance here. Oh my God, this is annoying me. And that's where we came back into as well. Let's make that red. Ooh, tiniest bit of imbalance here. So as you guys can see, that's where the market is now reacting from. So what does that mean for us? Well, what that means for me is if we was potentially to, what is going on? If we was to potentially move away from here, then of course I would want to see this level here be our 1 hour demand. Now, of course, for me, everything revolves around the dollar. If we move away from here, yes, GU will move away from this area here. If we don't, and if the dollar goes higher into this supply area, then of course that means that GU is going to go lower. So where could GU come into? Well, GU next area would be around this level of demand here. Am I interested in this? Not really. I prefer the look of EU compared to GU, but I'm just telling you that if we do dip below this and we do target these lows here, this liquidity, we have this demand area and also we have this imbalance left still here. We'll make that red again. Should be pretty clear for you guys to understand. If we fail this, this is our next area. But I do think if we do, continue lower, we should rebalance this whole leg and come into this demand. So yeah, let's keep an eye out on that for GBP USD. AU and NU, I don't like the look of, so I'm not going to cover that as we speak. But going into USD Canadian dollar, what can we see? Well, let's start off on the weekly for a moment because I think we've done this pretty much with the others last week, where you can see that this area got mitigated by this on the weekly. We filled in this weekly imbalance, then we obviously moved away. This area here, we didn't quite tap into that, as you guys can see. There's still a little gap between this wick and this wick, so that's where we could potentially see the market come into if the dollar is going to be bullish and if Canadian dollar is going to be weaker. So going into this right now, we did tap into a daily supply. So as of right now, weekly is pretty simple. This is our weekly lower high, this is our weekly lower low. Now going into the daily, what can we see? Well, let's look at where we're currently at right now. So as you guys should know, this was the daily supply that we wanted to see the market come into. Why? Because we have all this imbalance here. And of course we come into this supply and we moved away, but we had too much imbalance above. So that obviously we had to expect that maybe the market could come into that, which I called out for quite some time. And you can see we wicked in and we're now slowly starting to move away. Now, first thought is daily, you can see what's going on. But what's going on with the 4 hour time frame? Well, we look at the 4 hour time frame, it's pretty self-explanatory where you can see the market, trend. You can see that we had this uptrend happening here. Then we had, this level here going failed to create a new higher high. We created a lower high and then create a new lower low. The market is now come in. Could this now be the catapult to go and create a new lower low? That is my first thought. And of course, if we expect the dollar to be, downwards from a 1 hour, we can expect that on USD CAD. But if we can expect bullishness on the dollar to come into at least the minimum of this supply, again, we can expect USD CAD to be more bullish. And if we are more bullish, then of course, that's something that we'll have to deal with when it comes to. But as of right now, this candle has mitigated this daily supply and we've taken out this high here as well. So I'm expecting from a 1 hour, what can we see? Well, from a 1 hour, we are currently in this supply. I personally, the two supplies I'd be looking at me personally would be this level here, would be my 1 hour supply, or it would be coming into around this imbalance here. Coming into around this imbalance because we also have this level, which is a big, ugly 1 hour demand, but we do have this 1 hour, supply. We do have this 1 hour supply level here as well. Let me just move that backwards. So hopefully you guys can see the two scenarios that I have for USD Canadian dollar would be what I have got on the screen. We either punch above, move away from here, or we punch above and we fill in this imbalance, potentially mitigate this area, and then we move away from this area here. So that's the two scenarios, of course. That is what I am waiting for. We have still some slight imbalance, but this will be our next supply that we've got to keep an eye on. So let's see what's going on with USD CAD going into the rest of Monday and this week. Now, that leads me on to USD CHF. Now, USD CHF has been moving quite clean, to be fair. If we just get rid of this noise, you'll be able to notice that we do have some imbalance above here, and we have quite a lot of imbalance above here as well. So again, same scenario is I would expect to see eventually some sort of bullishness happen from, USD CHF as well as, the US dollar. So with that being said, this is my daily range from this lower high to this lower low. So again, if he was to go bullish, I'd expect to come into this daily supply. Looking at the 4 hour, what can we see? Well, if we follow the structure on the 4, you can see that this was a lower high, this was a lower low. Then this come up, didn't mitigate this area, failed to mitigate this area, then moved away. So yes, we do have a new range for the USD Swiss franc, which will be from this low to this high currently. And this is where we're currently moving away from as we speak. Let me just move that. And then let me just mark out this as a 4 hour break of structure. So as we speak, of course, if you look, we actually have this 4 hour candle, but inside this 4 hour candle, our supply candle, there's a 1 hour supply candle. The market's come up and now we're slowly moving away from this. So yeah, obviously this could be the area which does catapult into the next leg to go and create that new lower low. That is obviously the first thought that we have. But also I'm not, if the dollar goes on a mad bullish run and USD CHF does, I wouldn't even surprise if we punched above this to fill in this imbalance that we have left, take out these highs, mitigate these two suppliers, and then have that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if it does, is something that I would be keeping an eye on. But looking at this area right now, this 4 hour range, if we drop to the 1 hour, what can we currently see? Well, what we can currently see is it's pretty sweet. It's pretty, moving quite, smoothly. Whereas not something that we, tend to have to look at and think, oh, what's going on here? Um, for me personally, if I look at this scenario, we've mitigated the supply and we're now moving away. From a 1 hour perspective, we are in this 1 hour range here, which we've taken out this high and we've also mitigated this area. So we are in this little 1 hour range here and we are melting away from that. So if we was to carry on down, of course, we could 100% carry on down from this 1 hour supply, which we are currently moving away from. The only thing is, and obviously this area mitigated this supply here. If you look, this area mitigated, come up, mitigated this 1 hour supply and then moved away. Potentially if I look at the smaller time frames, could I see anything that might alarm me? Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. Yes, I don't really see anything that could, that could potentially, say like, okay, we need to worry about that. If you look, we are moving away from this supply. We have taken out this high. There's not really any imbalance that we have to fill. So if we was to basically come up and carry on downwards, could we see the market react from this area here? So fill in the rest of this imbalance, which it has done or is doing, and then move away from this area here. That's what I would potentially be looking for if the dollar's going to carry on downwards. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Let's see how that plays out for USD Swiss franc, and then that leads me on to USD Japanese yen, which is our last pair. So USD Japanese yen, what can we see as we speak? Well, as we're looking at this, same scenario, you can see that obviously this candle mitigated this supply area here, filled in this imbalance, and we slowly start to move away. And then if you look, this candle here, it came up, almost mitigated the supply, filled in this imbalance, then we moved away. And the same's happened here. We're just moving in a nice trend on the 4 hour. So we look at the 4, what is currently going on? Well, pretty easy to understand. Pretty easy to understand. We created a new range, which was from our 4 hour range is from this lower low to this lower high here. What I personally wanted to see from USD Japanese yen last week was I did want to see this area here punched up here, filling this imbalance, and then get that movement away. It didn't quite give me that, but we did obviously talk about this 1 hour supply, which I'll cover in a second. So yeah, obviously this is our 1 hour range with inside our 4 hour. So looking at the market currently, what I'm expecting is we've got a nice, institutional candle moving away. If it was to come back up, which it looks like we are, I'd expect to see this 4 hour candle being our next 4 hour supply. So if I drop down to the 1 hour, what can I potentially notice? Well, what I would prefer is this potential 1 hour supply candle here. This would be where I would like to look for the markets to react from. And as you guys can currently see, why would that be? Well, that would be because yes, we're in this little trap area here and this little candle here, and we can move away from this supply. But my analysis is basically the same as your USD and the others where, for instance, on your USD, I want to see, I don't know, I just prefer this supply, this demand area here. So it's the same scenario with this. Like, yes, we could move away from here, and I'm not saying that that's not valid. It is a valid supply area to move away from. But also just understand that we do have a lot of imbalance, as you guys can probably notice here. We do have a lot of that imbalance here. So, we could see the market do this, which I would not put it against it to punch above, fill in this imbalance, and then go and create that new lower low. So that would be what I'm potentially looking for personally going into today. But pretty easy. I'm not saying that this isn't a valid supply or these aren't the valid demands. They are 100% valid. But pardon me, I am waiting and I am, looking more so a dip below. Same scenario here. Early inducement, dip below, then we go. Early inducement, dip below, then we go. Early inducement here, dip below, then we go. Same here, happens over and over. Early inducement, we move away, then we come back, filling it imbalance, tap into demand, and then we go. So I'm expecting the same scenario with the euro US dollar, the major pairs, and the dollar in general as well, which again is the most important part. We're expected to see what is the dollar going to do so I can make my decision, going forward. So that is it for your, video today. That is your daily market analysis. I appreciate every single person plugging in. Hopefully you got some value as always. And just to give you a quick heads up, for anyone that is new and anyone that is not subscribed, please make sure that you do subscribe to the channel. It does help out. We've grown this quite a lot in a short space of time. I want to get this to 1,000. So, 1,000 is not a lot, I guess. But I do appreciate if you guys would just, click a button if you're enjoying this. If you're not enjoying it, of course, and you don't plug in and you're new to this, I don't expect you to subscribe. But if you are, 100% make sure you have that subscribe button on and that notifications so that you know when I am uploading a video. And then that leads me on to my bio because there's a lot of fake accounts on Instagram of myself. So I just want to make sure that you guys who are interested understand the fact that if you want to stay connected, my only Instagram is this. It's at Coached by Chambers. It's the same that's on my screen. But this is my Instagram. Give it a follow. Let's stay connected. I've got my free Telegram group, which is on here as well. And if you want to work on a one-to-one basis with me, how to actually grow multiple streams of income, from your phone, then, fill out this form and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But other than that, guys, I appreciate every single one of you as always. Take care and God bless.